It's Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. Coronavirus continues to shake up everything about our lives. We'll bring you up to date on some changes from Amazon to prioritize shipments, but also some intriguing entertainment offers. And it has never been more important to make sure that everything is clean to stop the spread of germs. Our own John Velasco will tell us about some smart home products that can help us all out. Plus, have you ever been driving around trying to find a parking spot and wished you could just park in someone's driveway? Well, that's the idea behind Spot Hero. We'll have their founder and CEO on, and we have a lot of news today, including details on a partnership between Cornell University and Intel to build chips that could detect explosives and even distinguish between types of food with smell-o-vision. All that and more coming up on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live, broadcasting live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and so much more. All while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're finding us, you can join in the conversations that we get to have. Like I said, hit that subscribe button, and that way you can make sure that, that you're a part of this. So we've got a lot to talk about here today. I will say, obviously, we are not in our Portland, Oregon studio. We're actually out on location today at the Landmark Saloon here in Portland, which is one of the places that is now going to be closed down as part of the coronavirus preparations that are going on. So we're maintaining our social distancing, but making sure that we can continue to bring you a show no matter where we are. And that's what we're doing here today. So to keep you up to date on some of the latest developments, let's get going on it here. We'll start off with Amazon. So Amazon making some big news today, talking about how they need more people. So with all of us starting to order online and getting our shipments that way, clearly not everybody's going out to the grocery store as much anymore. It's very important to have that happen. And they are, in association with that, going to be hiring 100,000 new full and part-time positions. And that's, I believe, just across the U.S. That's let alone worldwide. So we're talking about 100,000 new people just in the United States alone that they are looking to hire to help bring those deliveries out. They're also going to be upping the pay by $2 an hour. So that's a pretty big increase, $2 an hour for that. That's also going to be happening in the UK. They're increasing £2 an hour. In the EU, €2 an hour. So it's certainly an initiative that they are making right now to get more people out there to deliver packages, as most of us are switching to an almost exclusively online ordering system. There's probably a lot of people that are just getting started on that. So we definitely need more drivers, and that's what they're trying to do. So bringing in 100,000 new people for that. Looking on here, continuing on with some other things from Amazon as well, they also made an announcement today that for sellers, they're no longer going to be accepting non-essential items to their warehouses. So what that means is they want to free up warehouse space to keep the supply chain going for essential items. And that's because everybody's ordering from home or working from home or handling things that way. So things like soap, hand sanitizer, face masks, essential items, that's what they want to free up their warehouses for. So if you're ordering non-essential items, I don't know how long the warehouses will maintain stocks of that, but it could be a while before you get some of those. So expect that we might be seeing some delays on those kinds of deliveries. So that's another initiative that they have going right now in order to help satisfy what they can do to get things out there to people. So definitely interesting. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on, for some other news with coronavirus and other things that are changing about our lives and how this is all happening, Uber also making an announcement that they will no longer have pool rides. So that's going to be something that's being suspended as of right now. I don't know if a lot of people use that. Probably that was more of a thing for when we could all go out places. But Uber is stopping that, so the pool option will no longer be there. They will continue to offer regular rides and, of course, food delivery. So that's still going to be part of it. Yesterday, Uber Eats announcing that they're going to have $0 delivery fees for local food. So trying to alleviate that to help people, help out local businesses, but also make sure that you can get food delivered to wherever you are. So that's something that they're doing. I think it'll be interesting to see what some of the other apps do, what some of these other platforms, these delivery platforms do. But that is something that Uber is doing. So again, no more pool rides. In association with that, we've got some more news, some more things that will be changing. And as everybody's going to this work from home policy, a lot of the big tech companies, YouTube, Twitter, Google, Facebook, encouraging employees to work from home, that is going to affect some things that you may not have expected. And that includes videos being taken down on YouTube. So YouTube does utilize algorithms and AI to actually kind of go over what videos are up there, and then they'll flag things and take them down. You can then usually get that reviewed by a person, or a person's actually doing it in the beginning. Because everybody's going to be working from home, a lot of their employees, it's going to be a lot slower for appeals, is what they're saying. So if, say, you upload a YouTube video and they maybe put a copyright infringement on it, which happens frequently, and then you dispute it and then it gets put back up. Well, now they're saying that turnaround times for those could be a lot slower. So if you are a YouTuber, that's something to expect. Twitter and Facebook also kind of making similar announcements that if you have anything that you're disputing or that you want to bring up to an actual person, that could take a lot longer than normal. So that's part of the norm that we should start to expect right now as they try to catch up with that. Again, utilizing AI and algorithms to handle some work that actual humans were doing just to free up some space there. So something to think about when it comes to talking about how coronavirus is changing everything. And let's continue on with some other coronavirus news. And again, that's what is really big right now, obviously, and how it's affecting us since we're not having entertainment. Like, live entertainment is pretty much suspended in a lot of places as far as concerts or gatherings. Artists are turning to live streams, and we've seen a bunch of them actually go up. So John Legend is going to be having one. Chris Martin had one from Coldplay. Pink had one go up. You also have Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, which if you haven't seen that one, I suggest watching it. It's a little bit strange. Some of the dancing's a little bit odd in that, but it's still entertaining. It's like one of those strange things you can't turn away from. So Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman. Also, since it is St. Patrick's Day, by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody who's out there. The Dropkick Murphys are going to be having a live stream, and that's going to be taking place at 4 p.m. Pacific. They normally, in case you don't know, have a huge concert for St. Patrick's Day. They're one of the most sought-after bands, them and Flogging Molly, and they are going to go ahead and have a live stream for it in association with that, so it's going to be happening later on today, so something that you can check out there. But I think this is kind of the spectrum that we're going in. We've got a lot of people that are going to be switching to this online platform of entertainment, and we saw it before. In China, they had a bunch of artists that were doing that on their version of TikTok, and now I think that's how we're going to start seeing a lot of our artists as we continue on with this, not knowing exactly when these bans or when it's going to be safe for everybody to gather together. This is the way that we're switching. Online entertainment is going to be the key for all of us right now, and that's something that you're seeing there with the artists too, as they're switching things up. Another thing of news here, talking about that, Universal Pictures announced yesterday that they are going to be releasing their theatrical releases on actual streaming services, or available for on demand, at the same time. So as we see theaters close anyway, this may be the primary way. We know that Regal's going to be closing down. We know a lot of theater chains actually are going to be closing down anyway. But they said that keeping up with that schedule, they're going to release those movies and have them available to purchase on demand. So it's not going to be free. I believe they're starting at $19.99 is what it will be. But if you consider that you're not going out to the theater, you've got a couple of people maybe in your household, $19.99, you can watch a movie that's just released. We'll have to see how many people do that. I'm curious what people think about that. If that's something that you're interested in, that's what you want to do. Some ones that they said that are going to be coming out this way will be Emma, The Invisible Man, The Hunt, and Trolls World Tour. So that's set to hit theaters on April 10th, but it'll debut in whatever theaters are open and online at the same time. And I'm going to guess we're going to see more entertainment outlets do that. Disney Plus released Frozen 2 earlier than it was supposed to. It was going to be actually today. They released it on Sunday. So those of you with kids are probably well aware of that. But I think a lot of these streaming services are going to maybe take up some of that. I mean, Disney certainly has the option to do that if they have any major releases that are coming up, which they always do. Maybe they'll do that. They haven't announced anything along those lines, but it would be another option to get those movies and get that entertainment out there, since people can't go to the theaters, because that's definitely something that has affected Hollywood tremendously. I mean, the box office is huge for them in getting returns on those films, and a lot of them are losing money. So there's that. Another update, too, of something that you can now try as we're all at home, and, we're not going to be going to the gym right now. A lot of gyms are shutting down as well. Well, Peloton has announced that you can now sign up for a free 90-day trial. So they said you don't have to have their equipment in order to utilize it, but you can get access to some of their workout videos and their trainers saying things like yoga, HIIT, I don't know what that is, some kind of a workout, stretching, strength training, and some other classes that will be available. So that's just another option, you know, as we all try to adapt to this home life or really restricted life and not going to do the things that we normally do. Peloton coming out with that, so a 90-day free trial. And you can, that's actually, it's normally a 30-day free trial, so it's 90 days is definitely an extension on that. And you just have to download the app, try it out. Again, you don't need the Peloton equipment, but kind of a cool way to stay active when you're in your house and figuring out how to handle it and change up all these things as we go through with with this change of lifestyle that we're all dealing with. So you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right, continuing on here, let's talk about some other things. This is news about TikTok, and it's pretty shocking what has been revealed. So it has to do with their moderators and being told to suppress videos by ugly or poor users. This is what we're talking about. So apparently, this is from The Intercept, who reports that TikTok's content policy, at least previously, judged people's physical appearance when determining whether to promote their videos on the platform. So this was a content policy that was written in Chinese and translated into English. They said that, and this is what I'm reading here from this report, that things that should be suppressed include characteristics like chubby, quote, have obvious beer belly, quote, ugly facial looks, senior people with too many wrinkles, and facial deformities. So this is what was apparently in their content policy, as telling their moderators to suppress these videos. This is what's coming out from that. Now, a spokesperson from TikTok actually told The Intercept that the policies of suppressing unattractive or disabled users represented an early blunt attempt at preventing bullying. So that's what they're saying, is that it was originally to prevent bullying, but that they no longer have those policies there. Still, that is pretty shocking to see something like that as being a policy that TikTok had to moderate that. So that I don't even know what to say on that, other than it's one of those things where, you know, when you think about social media or think about any of these platforms, like, surely that's not something that could be true. There's no way that could be happening. But apparently that it did. It did, at least in the early stages of TikTok, according to this report, and them basically confirming it, saying that those policies happened. So kind of interesting there. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Again, as we continue on here, bringing you up to date on what's happening in the news, what's going on, to make sure that you're aware, and that's what we do here every day here at Digital Trends. And I want to thank everybody who's joining us too, whatever platform you're on. I see a lot of people on Facebook joining us right now, probably a lot of people working at home. If you have questions, you have comments, feel free to join in. Let us know what you want to talk about. Whatever it is, we can certainly try to get to that as we go throughout the show. Let's go to this. Let's talk about WhatsApp. So here is a rumor about WhatsApp. That's something that they may be bringing out to their service, and that is disappearing messages in private chats. So WhatsApp is one that hasn't had this feature for a long time, which does seem kind of weird when you think about it, considering that it's primarily designed, you know, for private conversations and for having things encrypted. But this is what they're doing. So this was spotted by Web Beta Info, which reverse engineers WhatsApp clients to unearth unannounced functions. So this is the company that goes through the code, tries to figure out what they have in there that they haven't announced. You see this with a lot of different companies where they have their stuff kind of retooled to figure out what they're going to be having out. And with WhatsApp, that's one of the things that we're talking about. So it would be a way to where you would send a message, and then that message would either, they said, looks like, according to the code, would delete in a week or maybe even a year. They don't have the instantly deleted option in this code. And again, this isn't something that was announced by WhatsApp, at least not as of yet. I would expect that maybe they will be soon, or maybe it'll be out in a new update. But what do you think about that? Is that something that you're interested in? Is that what you want when it comes to WhatsApp? I feel like it's a feature that should be there. As far as that, I mean, you've got it in so many other platforms where you can do that. WhatsApp, it does seem like that would be something that's a good addition to put on there. But you can read more at digitaltrends.com. Let us know what you think. All right, as we go through the news here and just, again, keeping you up to date on what is trending in technology, let's talk about Tesla. So as many things are not being delivered or things are coming to a hold, Tesla's Model Ys are continuing to be delivered. So they started out last Friday, and now we've got more of them that are coming out. So this is something that's interesting when it comes to Tesla because of the fact that they are actually ahead of schedule. Something you usually don't associate when it comes to Tesla, or even SpaceX sometimes is delayed on their things. But this is coming out actually far ahead of schedule. So the Model Y, just to remind you, they've got a couple of different models. There's a long range, or two different kinds of it. There's a long range and a performance with standard dual motor all-wheel drive. Starts at $52,990. So it's not a cheap car. The other version, the performance version, is $60,000. So it's not a ton of people that are going to be probably going out to purchase these, but this is something that is actually out. So again, that's the Model Y, and seeing that is now available. And as we go through there, again, just talking about Tesla and talking about what they're doing, we'll have to see what kind of an effect this has for other electric vehicles, for other manufacturers. Certainly, let's get not talking about the delays that could be happening right now because of what's going on. Eventually, factories will be back up and running, and that's when we're going to see all these other companies trying to come out to match that. I think 60 grand. Once we get down to some of these ones that are more in the $30,000 to $35,000 level, I think that's when it's going to be a real game changer. And we'll have to see what companies do come up with that. But you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
All right, yes, indeed, the product of the day. So as you know, we're all ordering a lot online right now, and you can click the link below here to pick up this. This is the Chef Steps Joule Sous Vide. So a lot of us are going to be cooking more from home, and this is one way that you can actually do that and make some pretty amazing food. So it's 1,100 watts. This thing is one of the smaller versions, so that's kind of nice, actually. It stores safely in your kitchen there. Doesn't take up a ton of space. It's 11 inches tall. It's 1.1 pounds. It's also, like I said, 1,100 watts of power, so that means it's hyper fast water heating. This can really heat it up quickly. It's got a frequency of 50 to 60 hertz. It's got pretty amazing cooking abilities. It's got something called visual doneness. Visual doneness, I kind of like that term, where it actually displays exactly how the food cooks. So that's kind of cool. If you're like me and maybe you're not the greatest chef in the world, this is something that would actually help out quite a lot. So it's got Bluetooth, and it's Bluetooth enabled, it's Wi-Fi ready, so it's got all of those features as well, so you can monitor it with an app. And again, that is our product of the day, so click that link wherever you are seeing it, and you can pick that up right now. And it is a pretty great one. So pick that up. That's the product of the day. All right, I know as we're continuing on here and keeping you up to date on what is trending, I want to say thank you to everybody who's joining us, whatever platform you're on. We do appreciate it. We've got a lot coming up. We've got some great interviews that we're going to be talking about. We've got John Velasco, our smart home editor, who's going to bring you up to date on some smart home products that can actually help stave away the germs. It can actually keep the germs away. So it'll help sterilize things for us. And all that's going to be coming up. But up next, we're going to play actually a video from our own Drew Prindle talking about technology and the coronavirus and how things are being affected to kind of keep you up to date with that as well. So that's there. Stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live.
As you're no doubt aware, coronavirus, formerly known as COVID-19, is currently wreaking havoc on the world. But what exactly are we doing to fight it? Sure, you've probably heard the advice about washing your hands and staying home if you're sick, but what about things like vaccines? What about drugs for people who are already infected? Do we have what it takes to stop this thing? In the next few minutes, I'm going to do my best to answer all of these questions and give you a rundown of the technological tools that we're using to fight the pandemic. I'm Drew Prindle, and you're watching The Deets, a show where we demystify the technologies that are shaping the future so you can better navigate this increasingly high-tech world. So right now, in order to effectively stop this virus, we need to do three main things. We need to detect people who have it, prevent other people from getting it, and treat those who are already sick. Let's start with detection. Currently, detecting coronavirus in humans requires a fairly invasive testing procedure where they shove a cotton swab up your nose and then send it to a lab for analysis. But unfortunately, the world has a limited amount of these labs that are equipped to carry out those kinds of tests. And there's a shortage on the chemical components needed to perform the tests themselves. That means we can't do them fast enough or on enough people per day to get a clear picture of exactly how many people are infected worldwide. For this reason, our best bet right now is to identify people with specific symptoms, such as a fever and a cough, and have them self-isolate to avoid spreading whatever they have. On that front, though, we do have some really nifty tools at our disposal to identify sick people. Infrared thermometer guns, for example, are helping health officials check temperatures without actually touching people. Some places are even putting these devices on drones and robots and using them to screen crowds of people without actually getting human workers involved whatsoever. But detection is just the beginning. The next step is prevention, which in this case means developing a vaccine. Right now, there are dozens of pharmaceutical companies racing to develop a vaccine for COVID-19, but there's one in particular that's showing a lot of promise. Massachusetts-based biotechnology company Moderna Incorporated. Unlike other vaccine developers that make DNA-based treatments, Moderna is one of the only companies developing messenger RNA-based vaccines. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the science here, but in theory, mRNA-based treatments should work faster and be more effective than their traditional DNA-based counterparts. Now, on top of that, in less than 2 months, Moderna managed to develop an initial mRNA vaccine for coronavirus from scratch, which is an impressive turnaround time even by modern drug development standards. In late February of 2020, the first batch of the company's COVID-19 vaccine was shipped to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases for testing. And if everything goes as planned, clinical trials are expected to begin in late April. Barring any complications, it would then be another 3 months from the initial design of the vaccine before we could start human testing. However, despite Moderna's breakneck pace, it's unlikely that the company's vaccine would be ready for mass distribution before 2021. So for now, the best way to prevent the spread of the virus is to do exactly what the CDC and the WHO are saying and practice social distancing, or just go into self-quarantine immediately if you feel sick. Which brings me to my final point. What can we do about people who are already sick? Is there anything we can do to cure this thing, or do we just have to let the virus run its course and hope for the best? Well, thankfully, not only are there dozens of companies working on drugs and medication for coronavirus, but there's already one drug that's in stage 3 clinical trials, which means it's already being tested on humans. Remdesivir, as it's called, is an antiviral drug developed by pharmaceutical giant Gilead Sciences. Oddly enough, this drug was originally developed to fight the Ebola virus a few years ago, but it was so ineffective that they stopped using it. But now it's being tested in new clinical trials, and global health authorities have called it the most promising of possible treatments for people who are severely ill with the novel coronavirus. In fact, in January of 2020, remdesivir was given to the first confirmed US coronavirus patient in Washington state. And while we can't say for sure that it was the drug that did it, the patient's condition improved dramatically the next day, and he was eventually discharged. Don't get too excited though. Still more tests are needed before we can be sure of remdesivir's effectiveness. But if it does work, it'll be a huge win. It won't stop people from catching the virus, but it could stop them from dying from it. All things considered, the most important thing to remember here is that in spite of all the crazy headlines and the coronavirus-induced panic that's rippling through the world, humanity is better equipped to respond to a viral outbreak like this than it's ever been in the history of our species. If we put our heads together and we use the best tools and technologies at our disposal, there's no reason to think we can't overcome this thing. We've beaten viruses before, and we can absolutely do it again.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you very much for joining us. Wherever you're watching, we appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. We broadcast live here every weekday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, and discussions. And right now, we're going to talk about entertainment. Certainly a hot topic right now, as we're all trying to figure out different ways to entertain ourselves. And broadcast television and streaming television are two things that obviously have been changing and evolving. And we're going to talk about that and so much more. Joining us, we have Todd Achilles from Edge Networks. Todd, thank you very much for joining us here.
Good to be here, Greg. Thanks.
And Todd, I want to walk everybody through what your platform is and kind of discuss that. And maybe you can kind of take us back to the beginning of this, of what inspired this company to form.
Yeah, so Greg, we're a next-gen TV broadcaster, which means we're using the new standard called ATSC 3.0 to deliver a competitive pay TV service with a particular focus on second and third tier markets that we believe are chronically underserved.
So talking about these different ones that are underserved, and what do you mean by that, I guess, when we get into that, as far as looking at that spectrum, what makes a community underserved?
Well, what you typically find is in mid and small markets, you just don't have a lot of choice for providers. There's usually just one ISP. Your options for TV service are limited. And so what we want to use is this new technology for broadcast, which is a lot closer to 5G than it is to today's broadcast, and use that efficiency that it's got over the air to deliver basically a pay TV service to homes, across the U.S.
Okay, let's talk about the tech behind that, actually, just to explain that a little bit more. What is this technology, and why is it closer to 5G than what's previously been out there?
So the tech was approved by the FCC back in late 2017. And today's broadcast standard is basically based on technology from the 80s. And so this new technology, what it does is it's really efficient over the air. In fact, it's probably the most efficient wireless protocol that's out there in the world right now. And so it's not only efficient over the air, but the second thing is it uses internet streaming protocols, which means sort of everything you use today to watch video over the internet, you can now use those same standards to watch it over the air, but with higher quality. It's cleaner, and you don't burn up your data caps. The quality of your video doesn't degrade if your neighbor's watching something. You eliminate all of those issues that people are dealing with today.
And so with something like Edge Networks, and talking about how you would be servicing some of these smaller communities, is that technology that everybody's already going to have, or is there some changes to infrastructure that'll need to happen in order to really facilitate it?
Yeah, so it's not backwards compatible with anything. So it's a brand new technology. You'll either have to get a new TV. We're building our own set-top box that our customers will have, and there's already some 3.0 stations transitioning, but there's 13 across the country right now that are full-time 3.0, and we've got 2 of those, and our first market is here in Boise, Idaho.
So starting off there in Boise and going from there and talking about, servicing these different markets. So obviously that's something that's going to be expanding, I would imagine, if you've got 13 right now and then continuing on. And I would guess as people buy new televisions, that would also be part of the upgraded infrastructure. I don't know that for sure, but you said you have set-top boxes anyway that would alleviate some of that. So going from all that, let's talk about the actual programming that's available. So when we talk about broadcast television, what kinds of packages and what kinds of things would you have available via this means?
Yeah, so it would look like what you'd get from the cable company. I mean, we don't aspire to have this kind of 200 channel bundle. Nobody really watches it anyways. But you really curate a bundle of channels, something between say 80 or 100 that are really targeted to these specific markets. And the reality is what people watch in Boise is different from Boston, from Birmingham. So just really be specific in these local markets and deliver content that's relevant there, and really focus on local sports too.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that when it comes to sports and really talking about being being there and getting something that's local and customizable. I feel like that's something that's very, very important to a lot of people, and having that content be part of it. What kinds of sports packages do you think you'd be able to do? Would this be like just the local ones, regional? Does it work in conjunction with some other current sports providers, or how would that all work?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll have a mix of national sports, of regional, and then really try and be a platform for local sports. One of the cool things about this standard is it supports 4K quality over the air. In fact, we've got a couple of dedicated 4K channels on our test system here in Boise, and it looks phenomenal. And it's really the perfect venue for, or the perfect platform or technology to deliver high quality sports.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, 4K over the air, to be able to have that and have that broadcast and get some of the local channels and some of those things, especially when you're talking about these smaller to mid-sized markets. Another question I had just for you, being in this, how do you see this progressing, say, in the next 5 years once this new technology is rolling out? What kinds of other changes do you think we can expect?
Yeah, it's a great question, Greg. And I think there's going to be a lot of different business models around this. There's a lot of the big broadcasters are migrating to 3.0 now. And that's, the baseline is kind of a continuation of today's kind of broadcast model. We're trying to take it a step further and deliver a bundle of channels, and particularly in these underserved markets. But there's going to be lots of different business models that come out around this new technology. It really is impressive, and it's time for an upgrade.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. Anytime we see something new rolling out, anytime there's a new technology that's available that provides something, and like you said, I mean, 4K can be delivered via this means. And certainly, I definitely understand when it comes to these smaller size markets too. I'm from one originally, so I totally understand the idea that they're underserved. So it is important to have somebody kind of taking a look at this, and sometimes broadband access isn't even available in a lot of areas. So over the airwaves is pretty big. For people out there that want to take advantage and want to utilize your service. Can we get a timeline on when and where and maybe how much it would be?
Yeah, so we're planning to launch in Boise this summer. That'll be the first market, and then eventually expand nationwide. And we haven't finalized the pricing yet, but we're aiming for it to be about half the price of what you'd get from the local cable company.
Nice. Well, hey, Todd, I want to say thank you very much for joining us, to talk about this. It's exciting hearing about different ways that we can, serve different market sizes with entertainment, and certainly over the airwaves with this new technology is pretty exciting. And I want to say thank you very much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
All right, again, there we go. Todd Achilles talking about Edge Networks and some different ways that we're going to be getting our entertainment. So always interesting to stay up to date with that. And we've got more coming up. So coming up next, we've got our own John Velasco, our smart home editor, who's going to join the show to talk about different technology that's out there to help you make sure your devices are clean. In case you didn't know, your keyboards are probably kind of gross. So is your phone. Mine is. That's why I clean them. But we've got some different ways that we're seeing technology help handle some of that, especially this day and age. That's pretty important. So that's coming up next. Stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Greg Nibbler. And again, we've got a lot to talk about here to keep you up to date on what is going on in technology. Obviously, we all know the coronavirus is the biggest news story that could possibly be happening right now. But because of that, we're also all hyper aware of germs. It's keeping that social distancing, not touching things, understanding that sometimes our equipment is a little bit dirty. And there are ways that technology can actually help us out with all of that. And to talk about that, joining us right now, we have our own John Velasco. John, thank you so much for joining us here today. What do you want to start off with? How can we make ourselves cleaner?
Thanks, Greg. So yeah, all the talk about the coronavirus concerns, it's scary. So, we were looking into some products, some gadgets that could help reduce the spread of germs. So we looked into these products, and there are quite a bit we're going to go through here. But the first one I want to talk about here is just something some people may already have. That's a smart lock. So with smart locks, as you know, they don't require you to actually use your keys and open up the lock. You could use your smartphone. So there's no interaction. We know how some viruses, some bacteria can live on surfaces. But what's so special about Kwikset's Juno doorknob is that it actually has a special coating on there. It uses microband technology, and this is a special coating that actually repels bacteria. So it reduces growth, and just in general, it's going to be safer to touch rather than your traditional doorknob, which is probably filled with tons of bacteria. And if you guys are interested in it, just letting you know that the doorknob itself is pretty affordable. You could find it between $21 to $30 for the doorknob. Again, that has that microband technology. And as far as smart locks, you could honestly use anything under the sun. You have smart locks that are $100, for a basic one that just requires your smartphone. And then there are some other elaborate ones that could cost easily $200, $300. Obviously, with more features. But again, you just want to take as limited, instances when you're touching stuff at your home. So that's the first one here. The second one, Greg, I think you're going to like.
Yeah, oh, go ahead. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. I was just like, I think I need to go get one of these right now. I realize I don't have one installed myself. And doorknobs I'm thinking about the germs and how gross doorknobs are. So I was just commenting on that. What's the next one that you have?
So the next one here, I think you're going to like, because we know how steam can be useful to actually kill germs, bacteria, and viruses. And Samsung announced earlier this year, back in January, that they're coming out with what they call the Samsung AirDresser. So people have, handheld steam cleaners they use to get wrinkles off their clothes, which is great. The steam actually, it's hot enough to kill viruses and bacteria. But with the Samsung AirDresser, it just takes it to another level. It steam cleans your clothes. Obviously, it looks like a small, tiny closet that fits, anywhere in the home. You put your clothes in there, whether it's a jacket, a shirt, even a dress, and basically it'll steam clean your clothes. It refreshes them, so not only will you have no wrinkles, but it's going to be clean. So if it didn't get too dirty, you could put it in there. And what's interesting, Greg, is that they say it gets rid of 99.9% of viruses. Specifically, you have influenza, you have even the coronavirus they mentioned there. But, it's something to look at if you're interested in something like this. It is pricey, though. So whereas a standard, a steam cleaner, it could be relatively cheap, under $50. This one is $1,400, and it's coming in April.
Wow, yeah, $1,400. That is definitely spendy. I do love the idea of owning one of those, though. As somebody who also hates to iron, this would be pretty valuable to me. I suppose if you're going. Yeah, right. I suppose if you're going to the dry cleaner a lot, maybe this would be a really good thing that eventually would pay for itself. But that's definitely interesting. So the Samsung AirDresser, and again, walking through some different tech that can help us both sterilize things and keep the germs away. What's the next one that you have here on your list?
So the next one goes again to that thought of not touching stuff, surfaces in particular. The next one here is the U by Moen Smart Faucet, and it's a touchless faucet. Obviously, it's there to dispense water. It's also Alexa and Google Assistant compatible, so you could tell Alexa to dispense, a cup of water, 2 cups of water. It'll do it automatically. There's no interaction. You don't have to physically touch a knob to get cold water or hot water. You just put your bowl or your glass right over it, and it'll dispense it. So again, in the case of just protecting yourself from catching germs, this is a great option for you. It's $580 and it's available right now.
$580, so a smart faucet. That is not something I actually thought about, where you could have an Alexa or Google enabled smart faucet. So that's the U by Moen smart faucet. Let's continue on here and talk about some other things, maybe some ordinary items that we already use that are probably needing sanitized.
Exactly. Everyone has a phone. You have a phone, and we all know that they're breeding with germs and bacteria. So the next one has been touted a lot lately, especially with the coronavirus going on. It's the Homedics UV Clean Phone Sanitizer, and basically it cleans your smartphone with the help of UV light. So basically it's a small gadget. You place your smartphone inside and it utilizes UV light, and that UV light will kill up to 99.9% of bacteria, which they all mention. So it'll clean the display, it'll clean the surfaces, the back. So when it's done, it's good to go. There's not going to be any viruses or any bacteria on there, and it's portable too. So you could technically bring it, with you to places. The charge will last you 70 uses. So you just charge it once, and you'll have 70 different occasions to sanitize your smartphone. And it's available right now too at $80.
$80, that's not too bad when you think of the grand scheme of things when it comes out. That's especially so far of the different ones we were talking about. Yeah, that's something that I feel like is going to do pretty well. I'm going to guess we're going to start seeing some more things, more products associated with that, as we're all very hyper aware of germs right now. But that's the Homedics UV Clean Phone Sanitizer. I know we've got a couple more here to go through too. And these, again, for everybody watching, these are different smart home products, different things you can pick up to help keep germs away and help, as like I said, we're all aware now that we need to sanitize things. What's a couple of next ones here?
So the next one here, again, kind of follows after the smart faucet and doorknob. It's the Shine Bathroom Assistant. And your toilet, it can be a dirty place, right? So with the Shine Bathroom Assistant, you don't physically have to use a brush to clean the toilet bowl. So it cleans it by itself. It's a small container that actually sits next to your toilet. And basically what it does is it cleans your toilet by using electrolyzed water. So this electrolyzed water, we're touted, is actually more powerful or just as powerful as bleach. So as far as removing stains, killing germs, any bacteria that's in there, it's going to do a pretty good job. It's also Alexa enabled, so you can always tell Alexa to clean the toilet. It'll do it for you. There's no interaction on your part, so there's no need for you to use a brush and get in there and clean it. And it's available right now. You can pick it up online for $100.
I am 100% for this one. I think pretty much everybody would agree that that's what technology should be for, right? Doing all the jobs that we don't want to. So going from there, and again, talking about staying clean and sanitized with different technology. I know we've got a couple more to talk about too. And this is fascinating. Thank you for bringing this list together too, by the way. What are a couple more of them?
And the last two are pretty much the same. So again, on that premise of gadgets doing stuff for us, we have two options here. We have a robot vacuum, specifically a mopping one from iRobot. So that robot will actually mop the floors for you. It's the iRobot Brava Jet M6. It uses some sort of cleaning solution to actually go ahead and clean your floors. So it'll automatically clean it, go on its own path. It's going to be efficient. So it just cleans up the floors for you. And it's available right now for $500. And there's also another option, another robot vacuum, the Ecovacs WindBot. So not only your floors, nice and shiny and clean, but now your windows as well, because this robot vacuum actually will clean them for you. It uses a suction system. And basically what it does, it sucks, it stays on place, and it'll clean your windows. It stays attached on there because of this suction. And there's also a 4-stage cleaning system. It uses squeegees and it wipes, the windows clean. And it's available right now for $350. these two options are great because they'll do the work for you as far as cleaning, and in turn, keep your house nice and clean so there's no germs or bacteria.
Again, a great use of robots. That's what they should be there for, is cleaning stuff that I don't want to clean. So I kind of want to outfit my entire house with all of these. But that is some great ideas that you have there for different ways we can help keep things clean, utilizing technology, having it do it for you. And we've got all of these at digitaltrends.com as well. So everybody can go there and take a look and get a more in-depth look at any one of these. John, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right, and we've got lots more coming up here, too, on the show. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's joining us on whatever platform you're on. So we are broadcasting live. We are here in Portland, Oregon, actually at the Landmark Saloon right now. And we've got more coming up. So we've got some more interviews for you. We've got some more news for you. Up next, we've got Mike Lawrence, who's the co-founder and CEO of Spot Hero. And Spot Hero is a company that's kind of like Airbnb, only for parking spots. Have you ever driven around and wished they could just park in somebody's driveway? Well, that's kind of what this accomplishes. So Mike's coming up next. And again, we're broadcasting live, so drop in your comments. We'll be back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Hello, welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you very much for joining us. Wherever you're watching, we appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been driving around trying to find a parking spot, been frustrated and wished that you could just park in somebody's driveway? Well, that, in part, is what we're going to talk about right now. Joining us, we have Mark Lawrence, who's the co-founder and CEO of Spot Hero. Mark, thank you very much for joining us here.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
I want to talk about the epicenter of this company because it sounds amazing. Let me just say that. I think we can all agree this is something that's pretty fantastic. What was the inspiration for you to found this, though? Was there like one incident where it's just one day you're like, okay, that's enough, there's got to be a better way? Or was this maybe a little longer build?
Yeah, so I would say that it started with me receiving a lot of parking tickets. And, you know, I was like, there has to be a better way. We actually first started as the Airbnb of parking, where we only worked with individual parking spots that were, you know, like the Airbnb of parking. And we, after about 6 months, pivoted to work with parking garages and lots. And today we're in almost 8,000 parking garages and lots in 300 cities. And you could use Spot Hero to reserve a parking spot on your phone in cities across the United States and Canada.
So let's talk about the actual technology, and then I want to get to the platform itself. When it comes to this, how do you manage that many different parking spots? How does that all work, and how are they entered in? Walk us through that process.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've built software. We're basically bringing on online all of these parking spots that were previously offline, and we've built software that connects into the machines and the gates, so you can, scan your phone, and the gate will go up. Sometimes it'll scan your license plate through license plate recognition and let you in. And we've basically built software where you can see a price, if a spot is available, and you can reserve it, and you know exactly where you're going to park, and you know exactly how much you're going to pay.
And this is all real time, I'm imagining, because you're going to be driving around wanting to find these spots. How do you maintain that real time data?
Yeah, so the data real time, we integrate with the different types of point of sale systems. So we know if a spot is available. We also have our own real time data, which allows us for online demand to know where people are going. We can have predictive analytics around, what should be happening. We work with lots of different garages. We actually have an AI powered platform for the parking industry to price their parking online called Spot Hero IQ. And what started with a personal problem, as we've grown, the opportunity's grown, because we have built our marketplace and consumer product to allow people to know exactly where they're going to park, how much they're going to pay, to work with about 1,000 different parking companies, which we manage through software and interface. And now we're launching that next phase, which allows the pricing and the intelligence from data to be utilized by all of our parking partners that want to use it.
So they can actually, utilizing the data that you have collected, they can analyze what the best pricing structure is, what's available, and how to figure that out. Another question that I had here, just talking about this, and going back to the beginning side, you said it was more like the Airbnb of parking. Now, does this incorporate private parking spaces like driveways, or is it more just the parking structures themselves?
Yeah, so when we first started, it was driveways, people's garages, it was churches, schools. Right now, the largest majority, 95+%, are the garages and lots. We still have the ability for people to rent out a driveway. I love this personally because this is how Spot Hero started. There's just so many more parking spaces in garages and lots for consumers to park in than an individual driveway, but we still offer that to consumers if they want to park.
Interesting. Yeah, I have a driveway and I have a fairly busy neighborhood. Now I'm wondering if I want to join in on this and rent that out. Looking at this kind of a platform and where you've come from to where you are now, like you said, working with thousands of different parking garages, where do you see this kind of technology going as far as, say, in the next 5 years? How do you see it evolving, especially with the utilization of algorithms and AI? Are there different platforms that you want to get onto?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is parking spaces that weren't online are going to be, they have to be available. And the data and exchange in knowing, what is the price, is there a space available, and then the access part, which is how does a car get in and out of a garage, is going to be critical. As we look ahead, I'm really excited about Spot Hero IQ because this allows consumers to actually have a space available during peak. And also the prices for garages, they're static and you might not know what the price is. When a garage is empty, the price will be super expensive and people will drive around in a circle on the street. Well, why not have that price actually move with supply and demand, reduce traffic? We could change the whole way that people move. And what I get excited about is people won't even think about parking because it'll be so easy.
Yeah, I mean, I love this idea. I'm talking about the technology and the ability to, adapt to things, which is what it kind of sounds like when it comes to the parking spots for the garages. Adapt to, hey, we've got an empty spot here. Let's just get somebody in it rather than not have anybody park there. Have you thought about in it how the utilization of, and this, I don't know if this is part of it or not, but the utilization of like autonomous vehicles and 5G, how that can incorporate into what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so today, an autonomous vehicle cannot park in a garage unless it's actually utilizing Spot Hero. And the reason is, even today, a third of all dollars spent in parking is actually cash. And an autonomous vehicle cannot pull cash out of its pocket and give it to someone to count. But what an autonomous vehicle can do is hook into a platform. Spot Hero has built a platform which allows anything to know availability, pricing, and to be able to get in and out of a garage, whether it's using Bluetooth Low Energy, license plate recognition, or something else. And so that allows the future to actually be available today. So we're ready for autonomous vehicles whenever they're ready, with a platform that can be used by, today it's human drivers, but tomorrow it can be ones without.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting to see how that can all be incorporated in. For you personally, what is the one piece of this software, of this platform that you have, that you are most excited about going forward, that you want the most people to utilize?
Yeah, I'm most excited about Spot Hero IQ because this is the next phase in the platform and engine that allows consumers to interact with the different parking spots. And it also allows the best people in the parking industry to have the insights and be able to make decisions in the current environment with all of the different data. It is so different and so far ahead of anything else that's out there. This is a vision that I've had for a while, for years and years, and we're finally actually executing upon it, and that I'm most excited about.
Well, that's great. And I want to say thank you, too, for sharing this with us and talking about this. I'm definitely going to be utilizing this myself. Looking at the expansion as well, you said you're with thousands right now. Are you looking at going to different countries, or where, I guess, worldwide is Spot Hero available?
Yeah, so today we're available in the United States and Canada, and most of our expansion is going to be in the US and Canada. We're already in 300 cities, and while we are going to be rolling out some new cities in both countries, the biggest expansion is going to be within our existing cities. We have a lot of room to grow. We have a very low digital penetration in this industry. While we are the category leader, we recently announced, for example, that last year we had hit $500 million in lifetime parking sold. This year we're on track to hit 1 billion in total parking sold. And so I think, like, if you're thinking of expansion, just our existing cities have so much room considering the penetration of digital. That's where our focus is there in our existing cities and the ones that we're going to be expanding to in North America.
Well, it's definitely exciting. I love the idea of this platform. Certainly, you've been growing tremendously with this. Like you said, a lot of room to grow even beyond that. I'm going to be utilizing it. And again, it's at Spot Hero on Twitter. And then for downloading the app, just find Spot Hero, I'm assuming, in whichever store.
That's correct. We're iPhone and Android, just Spot Hero.
All right, well, hey, thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. Congratulations on the success, and I'm excited to see where this technology can take us going forward, and just finding a spot when I need a spot. Thanks so much, Mark.
Thank you so much.
All right, again, we're broadcasting live here for Digital Trends, and I thank everybody who's joining us, but that's talking about Spot Hero, a way to utilize technology to find a parking spot, which I think we can all agree is awesome. So we've got a lot more coming up. We've got some more interviews for you. We're going to be discussing some more technology, and what I want to say is thank you to everybody who's joining us. So if this is your first time watching, thanks. Hit that subscribe button. If it's your 100th time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That's just really important, no matter what platform you're on. You can share the show that way. We do broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with some more news, so stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Greg Nibbler. And again, thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it, and we like to keep you up to date on what is trending in technology. And as we all know, the news right now, it changes. It feels like every 10 minutes something else develops, something else happens, living in this world that we're living in right now. So that's why we're here, is to keep you up to date as much as possible. And I do have this. We've got some breaking news actually coming out about the IRS. So this is a statement. I'm finding out about this as you are. The Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, announced today that Americans who owe taxes can defer their payments for 90 days, interest and penalty free, up to $1 million. So that's a pretty big deal. Now, they are saying that you do still need to file your taxes on time by April 15th. According to what I'm reading here right now, but if you owe taxes, you're not going to get charged any penalty for 90 days. So that's certainly something for people out there who do owe money on their taxes. You're not going to be stuck with that bill right away. You'll have 3 months to kind of figure that out without any penalties being associated with it. And if you've ever filed your taxes and you owe money, the second that April 15th passes, they will be on you and charging you penalty and interest. So this is something that's a little bit of a change on that. That's breaking news. Another piece of breaking news that I'm just seeing right now as well is that Facebook is planning to give a $1,000 bonus to every employee to help them amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. So this is some information that I'm seeing here. Actually, it's according to the information as we're doing that. So something that Mark Zuckerberg is putting out to their employees, that they're apparently all going to get an exceeds rating for the first 6-month review of 2020, which can lead to bonuses. Apparently, that's an internal thing. But they're all getting exceeds for their reviews. But that's something that Facebook is doing for their employees. And as we see a lot of different companies, adapting to this and changing, it's constantly updating. And that's why I encourage you to follow Digital Trends on Twitter. We keep a lot of up-to-date information there, but definitely digitaltrends.com will let you know what's going on. And speaking of letting you know what's going on, let's talk about a couple other news stories here. Something a little bit off the beaten path when it comes to the coronavirus side. Let's talk about Intel. And this is a report coming out that Intel is working with Cornell University and utilizing AI to create smell-o-vision. Yes, we may finally have smell-o-vision, which we have all clamored for years. Here's what they're doing, though. It's a specific kind of chip that can actually sense and tell what chemicals are in the air, thereby smelling. And the way this works is with this partnership that they have, it would be able to do a lot of different things. They're calling it a neuromorphic chip, and it's basically a portable electronic nose. Now, we've had chemical detectors for a while. There's different ways you can detect certain chemicals in the air, but this goes far beyond that to get into really, really big specifics. So they're saying that it could be used to significantly reduce noise and occlusion, is what they're saying. So when it comes to hazardous chemicals, if you have a lot of stuff in the air, the current ways that we detect that can get muddled if there's just too many things going on. This can detect very specifically different things. They're saying perfumes, food, other odors that are out there, it would be able to distinguish between them, even down to different types of food, where it could tell what it is. And the reason this kind of thing is important, to detect the harmful chemicals, definitely. When it comes to explosive detection and things like that, definitely a great use of that. But also just figuring out different ways that even incorporating into robotics down the road, having a robotics working with produce or working in some kind of field where this would definitely be an important factor, having them to be able to distinguish smells is pretty big. So it's the first time that something like this to this scale is coming out. And again, that's Intel partnering with Cornell University. And no word on when this will actually be available. They said it can detect 10 different odors right now, but they're going to be expanding that by quite a bit in order to have this kind of chip be able to do that. So interesting, just a little bit of news there. And like I said, keeping you up to date on what's trending, so you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. Smell-o-vision. Let's go to some other tech news. We do have to go back to talking about coronavirus, and certainly a lot of people are under quarantine right now. And again, that's another thing that's rapidly changing by the minute. This is changing worldwide. Spain, though, is already under a very strict quarantine to help stop the spread of the coronavirus. And the Spanish authorities, the Spanish police, are utilizing different ways to try to keep track of people. And there is a drone that they are using, which has a speaker on it in order to, honestly, to yell at people who are violating the quarantine. So there's actually ways that you can be arrested for this. It's a mandate that people stay home, but certainly people are still going out. Now, they are allowed to go to the grocery store or for work or for medical services, so it's not like there's somebody standing at each door telling you have to get back in. But there's also people who just don't follow those things and are out wandering around. And with this, the police don't have to be getting close to them and risk themselves contracting it, but instead they fly this drone over them and they yell at them and they say, this was one, so that video that you just saw, they said, we will not hesitate to use all the means at our disposal to ensure your security and that of everyone, although some will make it difficult for us. So kind of shaming them at the same time as yelling at them to get back inside. So it's, again, another use case of technology being utilized in these situations. We saw it in China a lot. They were utilizing drones as well, even to spray out disinfectants. I'm sure probably Spain is doing something along those lines too. This is just one case. But robots, drones, any means necessary to keep people safe. I think that's a good use of this technology, obviously. I mean, it keeps people away from getting more exposure and helping to perpetuate this thing. So that's one that they were using, which was a drone with a speaker on them to yell at and shame those who weren't following the orders. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is this. So coming up here in just a little bit on this platform, hit subscribe. We're going to be broadcasting some of the Microsoft Developers event that is happening right now, or happening later on today. And we're going to be showcasing some of that, and where we'll see maybe what Microsoft had in store. Somebody who we haven't heard from a lot is PlayStation. So here's what's happening with PlayStation. Again, this is all part of these companies who are changing up the ways that they're showcasing their products because there are no conventions, so it's all virtual stuff. Well, Sony said that tomorrow, March 18th, that their lead system architect, Mark Cerny, will be unveiling more details about the PlayStation 5. Xbox already came out with a lot of details earlier this week. Now PlayStation saying that maybe we'll finally get to see some more of this. They've been pretty reticent to release a lot of details. We have some interviews that came out. We have some general ideas, but not as much as Xbox. And we still don't even really know what the PlayStation 5 is going to look like. We just know the logo, which is a 4 to a 5. It was really groundbreaking. So we'll have to see if we get the more details. We do think that it's going to be a live stream based upon what they said. They said watch it. So we're anticipating that's what it is, or maybe they just release a YouTube video. We don't know exactly. But that's what's going to be happening. So hopefully we're going to get to see some more of the PlayStation 5 and find out how exactly it's going to pair up with the Xbox. So both of these consoles are set to come out later on this year. And again, we're hoping that with the Xbox Series X, they've said a lot about what's going on. Will the PlayStation 5 match up? Probably. It'll be pretty similar. Maybe they'll try to tout a couple of things that are a little bit better than the Xbox, but we'll find out more about that tomorrow. So we will definitely keep you up to date. And that's what we do here, is keep you up to date with what is trending in technology. So coming up next, though, we've got some more to talk about because we're going to have a guest here who's joining us, and that is Kurt Avallone from Takeoff Technologies. So Takeoff is an e-grocery solution that empowers retailers to attain profitable online growth by leveraging automation. We're talking about robotics maybe here and how that can actually be utilized when it comes to supply chains. So we're going to discuss that next. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on, because we broadcast live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and I want you to join us for the conversations we get to have, and that is what we're going to be doing right now, is having a conversation about automation, about the different ways that technology is changing things for our supply chains, and in particular for groceries. So from Takeoff Technologies, we have the Chief Business Officer, Kurt Avallone, is joining us. Kurt, thank you so much for being here today. I want to kind of walk through what Takeoff Technologies is, and maybe you can give us kind of a surmise of what the company does.
Sure. So we're an automated online grocery solution. Basically, we have equipment, machine, about 10,000 square feet that can pick a 50-item order in about 5 minutes. And that allows our retail partners to do the service for free for many of their customers.
So understanding that a little bit more, can you give us maybe a use case of how this technology is used by a retailer?
Sure. So some of the customers use our website, but most of them use their own. So let's say you're with Albertsons Safeway in San Francisco or San Jose, where we have 2 of our micro fulfillment centers. Customer would place an order with Safeway, and it would be sent to our micro fulfillment center, where the items would be queued by the machine, and every 3 to 5 seconds, one of your items would come to a selector who would put it into a shopping bag in a specialized tote. And then when we have selected all of your items, most orders being about 50 items in total, that order will be, taken to your home or to a pickup point for you to collect.
So when you talk about a selector, can you say what you mean by that? Is that a human who's going to do that? Is this robotics? What exactly is a selector?
Sure. So there are 30 robots in the system. The video I think you're looking at right now shows a selector getting totes that have product in it from the system.
Gotcha.
The selector is a human being that quickly picks that order.
So when we talk about the utilization of robotics in a lot of different ways, we certainly see some advantageous ways when it comes to shipping, and this is obviously something that would help out with the supply side. A lot of people get concerned about jobs and about, the robots are taking our jobs. How do robotics and humans work together in this situation? Obviously, we saw something there from the video, but you see that as a collaboration going forward, or is this something that kind of augments and leaves humans available to do something else?
What's unique about online grocery is the combination of the people and the robotics are replacing a task that the customer has been doing. So it actually creates jobs. In the past, grocery's been a self-service industry. I started way back when, 20 years ago, and we've created over 10,000 jobs with e-grocery, and we hope to do even more now that we're adding the robots and we can take the cost lower for the consumer.
Oh, great. Talking about technology and the advancements, obviously, if you've been in it for this long, you've seen some all kinds of different changes. When you're talking about where you're at right now and incorporating the robotics, what do you see in the future, say, like 5 years from now? Can you anticipate how this collaboration will look, or what are some other things that we could be utilizing this kind of automation for? Any ideas on what you think will happen?
Sure. I think new stores will be designed around the type of automation that we have, because it's very small. It means you might see new store formats where, it's only 15,000 square feet, and in the front, you can pick your produce, or you can sit at a restaurant and dine while your order is selected behind you. Most of the items, the Cheerios, the toilet paper of the world, that people really aren't emotionally attached to, can be selected quickly and allow a smaller, perishable format. Other scenarios are, we'll see online grocery get combined cross channels. You may have seen Kroger and Walgreens doing things together online, where from a micro fulfillment center, Kroger groceries are available for pickup at a Walgreens store. So I think we'll see a variety of formats grow, as well as kind of cross-channel partnership emerge.
Talking about that, cross-channel partnership, I think that's an interesting aspect of it. Looking at this, right now, and talking about some different ways that this is being utilized. I guess for people who are out there ordering, is this something that a consumer is going to be aware of, or some of the advantages that come with that, or is it just that you're not picking up the groceries yourself?
I think that consumers are going to see a variety of enhanced services. Your Domino's pizza will come with your groceries potentially to your house. I think you'll see certain customers prefer to pick it up because they don't want to wait at their house, for 2 hours for an order to be delivered. It's all about the customer being in control and the technology allowing us to do more for customers.
Well, and again, we're talking about Takeoff Technologies in different ways that this is incorporating in and changing up our the way that we fulfill things and the way that we shop and the way things are brought to us. I mean, I think that's interesting that Domino's Pizza could come with your groceries and just combining all of that in. Have you thought about anything on the automated delivery side? Now, you mentioned that some customers will want to come in and get it, but when you integrate into that aspect, is automated delivery something that you've thought about as part of this technology platform?
We're preparing to use automated lockers where those lockers can be placed at convenient places for consumers, whether that's their local McDonald's, and they can get their Big Mac and their groceries. We haven't done anything on automated delivery vehicles, but I think you've probably seen that is emerging as well. We're more an advocate that the lockers placed in the right location will enable the Grubhubs and the Uber Eats of the world to recombine kind of hot food and grocery purchases on behalf of the consumer.
Fascinating. Well, it's definitely interesting to see where this is all going and to see this kind of, technology incorporated in and just how rapidly it's changed and changing. I love this idea of having things with more cross-platform collaboration, kind of like what you've been saying. So definitely interesting. For people out there who want to learn more about what you're doing with Takeoff Technologies, or maybe incorporate it into whatever their retail store is, where would we send them?
To takeoff.com, our website. We're based in Boston, Massachusetts, but we have global partners, so we're in Australia and Canada. But through the website, you can contact us, and hopefully we can meet your needs or provide more information.
Great. Well, Kurt, thank you very much for joining us here on Digital Trends Live to talk about this.
Thank you for your time.
All right, so again, talking about how automation is being incorporated into our orders. We're all ordering online a lot more, right? Well, this is some of the ways that is actually being utilized. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here on Digital Trends Live. And I want to emphasize again, we broadcast live every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So we will be here bringing you all the tech headlines and news and interviews and discussions and more for you all the time. So hit that subscribe button. Can't emphasize that enough. Coming up tomorrow on the show, I know we'll have Luke Larson, who's going to join us for a computing segment and all kinds of different interviews and things that we'll be discussing on that show. But there's more coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. So another reason to hit subscribe is that we're going to be logging off of here, but then we'll be back bringing you the Microsoft Game Stack Conference. So that is in lieu of the developers conferences that are going on for the Gamers Developers Conference. I think I got that right. They are actually going to be broadcasting this. And this is something we're going to see from a lot of companies, is just how they're virtually bringing you things. I'm fascinated just to see that side of it, because clearly you can't have a convention with a bunch of people in it. So we're going to see how that's happening, and you don't need to go anywhere. It's going to be right here on this platform. So hit subscribe. And I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. Thank you so much. Thank you to Landmark Saloon for letting us be here today. Tomorrow we'll be in another location, maybe back in the studio, maybe somewhere else. That's what the fun of the show is. You'll get to find out with us. So thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back here tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.